Good morning, guys. It is Wednesday. Like you guys are really close to me, so I'm pull you back. Welcome to the Fearless Morning Show, where we are having confessions and conversations about your everyday life and finances. Hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, that you're ready to get this day started. It is going to be amazing. Today is International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all my sisters out there. It's going to be an amazing day. How did you guys do yesterday? How was your day? We talked about gentle dream killers yesterday. Did you guys evaluate your circle? Hold on one. My polar pen doesn't want to work. I know I'm clicking add. Be great this morning. It's okay. We're going to be great regardless. How about that? It's going to be a good day.
Hey.
Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning. How's it going?
All right. Good morning, Trenda. Good morning, Charlene.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining us this morning, y'all.
It is, I'm just telling you, it's going to be a wonderful day. Today is International Women's Day. It's going to be a great day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep, whoop, whoop. It is International Women's Day. I don't know why I forgot. I just posted about that it's been so much going on this morning that it's been crazy. Had to get the little one and the husband out the door, and then I forgot, oh no, they have to take water bottles with them to school today because there's been a catastrophe. So yeah, but I'm gonna go right into our quote this morning because all this ties in together, right? Yeah, living past crazy, JoJo. You
Hey, to the man.
living past crazy. Yes,
I'm
yes,
feeling
yes.
you.
So our quote today, guys, is smart people learn from their mistakes, but the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others. And that's by Brandon Mule. And you said, Lynn, well, what does water bottles have to do with the conversation today? But let me share with you guys what happened. We talk about smart people learning from their mistakes and smarter people learning from mistakes of others. So what happened yesterday in DeKalb County was a huge water main break, okay? And this water main break was so significant, y'all, that it not only impacted the schools, so the schools were closed down yesterday. Not only were the schools closed down, but malls, restaurants, all of those different entities were impacted. So now DeKalb County is going back and learning from a huge mistake, which I think is infrastructure. Some of them are trying to talk about the fact that we're going to see if investigate to see if it's a possible attack. No, you know the real story. Y'all haven't been taking care of business over there with those tax dollars, but that's another story. That's not for this video. But what I love, yes, DeKalb County is learning from their mistakes, but then I also saw the water department from Cobb County come on. And what Cobb County is now doing is learning from the mistake of DeKalb County, because they were talking about their infrastructure of their water system and that main drain that goes out to all of the different places throughout the county. See, smart people learn from their mistakes. DeKalb County, smarter people, right, learn from the mistakes of others. That example is Cobb County. Now, I know y'all not from Georgia, and some of y'all in Georgia might get mad at me, and I don't want all of the DeKalbites to get upset and start sending me messages and hating. Truth is truth. Let's just say that, right? And the Carbonians, y'all know, right? I'm sorry, I'm just making up all kind of names.
You just making up words, Lynn.
My DeKalbites and my Carbonians, right? Those are the people. But guys, smart people learn from their mistakes, but the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others. So what are you working with, right? What are the mistakes that you've made that you're learning from? And then what are the mistakes that others have made that you're now taking an opportunity to learn from those? Whether it's your life, your finances, your relationship, We all can do better. We all can learn something from someone else. So what are you doing? What are the steps that you're taking so that this proves true for you? Yes, we want to be smart, but the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others, right? I would have loved to have learned some of these lessons in my finances early on, right?
Yes,
To have
ma'am.
positioned myself differently, right? Not saying that life is bad, it's not, okay? Not by any stretch of the imagination, but what I just thinking about how much better off I could have positioned myself had I learned from the mistakes of some others earlier on. It's simply the message that I'm sending today. So anything you want to add to that, Miss Co-host, this
No,
morning,
ma'am.
guys?
That is one we've all learned that the hard way. You hear me?
Yes,
And so,
yes,
like you, eventually, I was like, oh, I see her doing that or him doing that over there. Let me govern myself accordingly and not
right.
let that happen to me.
Exactly, exactly. All right, guys. So with that said, we're going to transition right into our financial conversation, confession and conversation this morning. And we're continuing with the How Do I Begin series. And the conversation today is how do I begin to help or teach my child about money? What are the things we need to do? Let me say this first and foremost. Let's put this out on the table. Are you listening? Whether you teach your child about money or not, you are teaching them, right? Hear that again. Whether you intentionally teach your child about money or not, you are teaching them. So you say, Lynn, why are you saying that? Because children watch and they are the most observant and they
Yes.
want to be like mommy and daddy in many cases, so they tend to model. So I'm not going to put that disclaimer out there for everyone, but that's typically what happens with a child, because a child, no matter what, no matter how good or how bad of a parent you are, they love you, they look up to you, and they think that you're the best thing since sliced bread, and they want to be like mommy and daddy most cases, right? Unless you've done something like significantly just over the top, right? That's pushed your
Right.
child away. But in many cases, that's what happens. So why not be intentional, guys, in the things that we're teaching our children about money, right? And in many cases, for many of us as parents, or as a single mother, or whatever your situation is, I'm not knocking anybody's situation, because things happen, right? Things happen to you in life, and you have to now deal with whatever that situation is. I get that, right? So what we have to do now, guys, if we're thinking about having a true confession and conversation with ourselves, is what are the values that you're teaching your child? So the number one thing that I would suggest and recommend is your values are very important when it comes to money. And the value side of this conversation is not only about money, but what's really important, what truly matters most when the rubber hits the road. See, one of the things that one of the mantras, if you will, inside of my company is faith, family, and finances, and in that order, right? Faith is very important. So that in our family, we know that's value. Family is next. And then, of course, our finances are third on that ladder. So we have, we have an understanding as far as our infrastructure in our family around this thing we call money. What's most important? So that's the number one thing that I would say to you as you're working with your child. Doesn't matter if your child is a toddler, or if your child is in between the ages of 3 to 7, or if they're tweens, or if they're teens, right? And some of y'all 20 somethings, they haven't learned yet. There's still some things that you can do to help those children, but you're going to have to be strategic, seriously strategic in that fashion, right? To help them move if you haven't been having this conversation with your children. So the number one thing I say, guys, is talk to them about value. And the other thing that I would say in how do you begin having this conversation with your children, one of the things that we've started doing in our family, and this was several years ago, and I left my baby's portfolio upstairs, and I wanted to bring it down to actually show it to you. We started his portfolio in this actual portfolio for him that he can see, and he manipulates it and keeps it in his room, and has all of his statements in 2015. And in his portfolio, guys, he has these zipper pouches. You remember your Trapper Keeper from back in the day, right? I'm aging myself. But back in the day, the Trapper Keeper was all that. You can keep everything in there nice and neat and organized, and then you can snap it closed on the front. We had those little zipper pouches in there. So
Loved it.
I have actually taken a notebook and I purchased some zipper pouches, and I took a Sharpie, and we have labeled each of the zipper pouches: give, save, and spend. All right. And we actually have broken down the percentages of any money that he earns. Let me say that again. Any money that he earns. See, mommy doesn't believe in an allowance, and I don't know if you co-sign on that or not. It's your philosophy. I'm just sharing mine and what has worked for not only me but for other families, because I've studied this thing, right? Because we're not born knowing all of these things. I'm telling you what I've studied and what I also do and what works with my child. So inside of that, when he earns money for doing different things, see, my baby truly earns. Now, y'all, it's even to the point now I've hired him in my business. So we're going to take this game to a completely different level. We're going to talk about that later on a different video. But give, save, and spend, those are the three areas that he has. And he knows that his give, of course, is whether if we're going to church, or if there's a charitable organization, or if there's something else that he deems necessary that he wants to give or donate to, he has that pouch where he can give out of. So that's 20%. Okay. For him, I set it at 20%. And I know many of us may have been raised on your tithe as your 10%. That's what you give. But then there's a tithe and an offering. But we ain't going there today. We're talking about give, save, and spend. So what I have it broken down for him, and you decide on the percentages for you and your family. But the give percentage is 20. His save percentage is 30, and his spend percentage is 50. Okay, so why am I setting him up like this? If he starts doing this now, y'all, my baby is 7 years old and he's been doing this for a couple of years. If he starts doing this now, imagine what he can do differently by the time he's an adult. When he's an adult and he's already in this 20, 30, 50 mindset, he'll take 50% of what he's earned now and live off of that. 30% he knows now that he can save and invest, and then that 20% he has for giving, that positions him in a completely different light and a completely different mindset as far as his thinking. And this is something that we're continuing. Not only does he have his special little zipper pouches inside of his portfolio, but what we also have, guys, are his actual bank statements. And we have his actual, so he has a 529 account in which I'm funneling money into. And then he also has a T. Rowe Price account. All right. So he has all of his different financial statements inside of his notebook. And every month, and I opted not to do the electronic statements so he can get something in the mail with his name on it. My baby likes to get stuff in the mail with his name on it. So I opted to allow, not opt for the electronic paper at this point yet until he gets it and starts being able to log into an account himself, and then I'll transition over. But having those paper reports inside of his portfolio, he can actually go back and look. And guys, these are life lessons that I'm able to teach him now. We can actually talk about some of those math concepts that they have to know for milestones. And I know I didn't even have to go there, right, for the assessments that they take here in the state of Georgia. But I can actually go into some of those concepts using his own financial statements. So there's so many different things that I'm now teaching him. Guys, he's developing a skill. He is developing skills throughout this process, and skills are what pays your bills. Let me say that again, right? The development of skills is what pays your bills. And not only am I teaching him this inside of his investment portfolio, and I'm watching the clock, JoJo. See, you got me on this clock thing since we started this week.
I wasn't even paying, you got me. I wasn't even paying attention. I'm taking notes.
The other thing, guys, that's so important to have a conversation with your child. Be open and honest about your debt, right? The quote this morning was the smart people learn from their mistakes, but the real sharp ones learn from the mistakes of others. Teach your baby, right, to learn from your mistakes so they don't have to repeat that situation, right? And we have to be honest. First of all, we got to be honest with ourselves. We got to look at it ourselves and truly know where we are, right? But now you need to make sure that you're being honest. And you don't have to have this conversation with your kids when they're 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and 6, right? That may be too soon. But once they start approaching that tweens age, it's very important that we start having those conversations with them. Definitely if they're teenagers, right? Because in a few years, they're getting ready to leave the nest. And they're getting ready to go out and build their own lives. And we have to be intentional in supporting them and having these true, what we call courageous conversations, right? Yes. Have these courageous conversations with them in advance so that they're set up in the right way. The last thing that I want to say, guys, is, hold on, let me get my notes. The number one thing. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that, you know, including that, we have to be humble when we're talking to our kids about that, because you know, you have to be humble so that they can learn from it and learn from you.
Yes, absolutely. And the number 3 thing, guys, that we need to do better as far as teaching our children is teach them now. We need to encourage them to pursue their passions. Pursue their passions. And what do I mean by pursue their passions, guys? The reason I say be diligent in helping your kids to pursue their passion is because the world of work today did not look like the world of work for when our parents came on the scene, and it will not look like the world of work when our children come on the scene. See, the jobs are going to be so different by the time that they get to that point that we have to now train them, right, guys, to start thinking about this entrepreneurial opportunities that are out there. How do I now develop solutions to potential problems out there? That's what we need to be training our children to do. What are the areas that you are passionate about, and how can you help solve somebody's problem? See, that's the direction that the world of work is going into, right? If you're paying attention, if you are honestly paying attention, guys, and this is, and the other thing that I'll share with you is these jobs ain't loyal. Who has a pension plan anymore? Very few people have even been introduced to the concept. And dare I say, if you say to your children, or even many of the millennials, you say the word pension, they'll say, what is that? It's just like telling them about an 8-track tape or a cassette tape or a Walkman or a record player. They'll be like, huh? What? That is that in a museum somewhere? Right? So we have to be cognizant, guys, of what it is that we're teaching our children, and not only being cognizant, but we have to be intentional in what we're sharing with them. And the other thing, and I said that was all I was going to share, guys, the number one thing that'll help you to teach your children is to set family goals with your child.
Yes, ma'am.
Setting family goals that everyone takes a part in, everyone contributes to. And then once you set the family goals, check in. Check in with each other. How are we doing on this family goal? Sit down and have the conversation. This is where we are. This is where we plan to be by this date. Are we on track or not? And if we are on track, let's celebrate. But if we're not on track, then what are the things we need to do differently now, right? To ensure that we get on track, because we want to meet this goal by this date. See, that's a courageous conversation.
Yes.
That we need to be having inside of our families. But many of us don't do that.
Some of us are ashamed to do that and don't, we don't want to. And it's not about being ashamed. It's about sharing so that they can learn. Like the quote says, sharing so that they can learn something different and do different than what you're doing. You know, we learn from our parents to do things differently from what they're doing. So why would we not afford the same opportunity to our children, especially when it comes to finances? And people our age, our parents didn't talk to us about money. If they did, it was don't tell nobody how. My dad said, don't tell nobody how much money you got. Keep some in your left and some in your right, and some under the bed. You know, that was just his philosophy. Or, you know, if you came from a single parent, I ain't got no money. I don't have no money. I ain't gonna have no money. Don't ask for it. Or, you know, and so you got to look at your history of your financial history of your family. Yeah, you got, and it's all a cycle. Yeah.
Absolutely. We absolutely must break the cycle, guys. So this is just a little bit of the information. I actually have a book that I will be releasing later this month. It's called Raising a Financial Genius, Even If You're Not Good with Money. It's a 2-part book that I will be sharing with you. Part 1 goes over all of the concepts and things that you need to be training your child to do as far as their finances and it talks about it at different age levels. And then part 2 is your work as the parent. What are the things that you need to be doing? What are the things that you need to be working on alongside your child if you are not good with money? And if you are good with money, then what are the things that you need to be transitioning to your child? See, there's 2 sides of the conversation, because there could be a side of a conversation where the parent is working and doing everything. So now how do you train your child to be a genius in the space of abundance? Because as parents, we always want to give our child more, right, than we had. So the child has this concept of, okay, then it's there. It's there for me. I don't have to worry about anything. And how do we now teach them to think differently? Whether you're affluent or not, you have to train your child, and you have to be intentional in what you're doing. And the number one thing that's going to help you to be intentional in that space is having that conversation about value. Not only the monetary value of things, right? But what's the value behind that thing for you, right? Whether you're a child that's growing up with everything handed to them with a silver spoon in your mouth, you have to understand that that's not the way that you treat people. There are certain things that you do. Or if you're a child on the other side of the tracks whose mom or dad has told you money doesn't grow on trees, how do you think we're going to get that? I can't buy this for you. I don't have any money. Get out of my face, right? Stop talking to me right now, right? So it's 2 different conversations, but the end goal is the same, guys. How do I raise a financial genius? Whether I'm good with money or not, how do I raise a financial genius? See, in the beginning, we said no one gave us a book on that. Well, now, guys, you have a book that will be released this month. So if you're interested in getting more information about the release, just send me a text to 345-345. Text the keyword finances, capital F-I-A-N, F-I-N-A-N-C.
Yeah. I hate trying to spell finances out loud. I get them I's and C's mixed up.
Yes, finances. So if you'll text finances to 345-345, that'll get you on the list so that you'll know when this book comes out, Raising a Financial Genius. For all of the people who are on here and you say, I listened to you talk about where do I begin teaching my child, I will send you that book for free. It's going to be for sale for everyone else. But for everyone who texts me, text the word finances to 345-345 and let me know that you saw this video. You will get the ebook for free. All right. So that's all I wanted to share this morning. Thank you so much for joining us for the financial confession and conversation. Good morning, Jasmine. Thank you for joining and watching as well. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Ms. JoJo, so you can take it away.
Good morning, Jasmine. And then I was going to say too, for me, like you were talking about, involve your children. My youngest is great at math. And so what I do, she loves to play with the spreadsheet. I give her all the information. She plays with it, prints it out. And so it's her job to print it out and get it ready to look at. And so they absolutely love that part. And my oldest is the keep. She will, when I tell you, Courtney will keep you in check in the grocery store. I'll be putting stuff on the, she's like, that's not on the list. I was like, Court, I'm getting this. I get to the checkout line. Half the stuff I put in the buggy is no longer there. And then when I get home, I said, I could have swore about, she's like, oh, yeah, I put that back. I was like, but I thought about, she's like, yeah, I put that back. I was like, oh, so if I want something that I want that's not on the list, I literally have to go shopping by myself. Well, then I'm not going to do that because I'm tired, I'm frustrated. And she is not going to let me go grocery shopping by myself. She's like, you're not allowed to go by yourself. And so she's my, you know, they keep you in check. And it's, and they love that. They love the responsibility of that. So
absolutely, absolutely. And for those parents who don't have a Courtney in your life, another way that you can do that with your child is actually go through and budget. Do some meal planning, budget out for the things that you need, and go to the grocery store with that budgeted list. In addition to that, if your child wants specific items at the grocery store, have them to do the couponing. Have them to actually go out and search for the coupons so that everything that you want now fits into whatever your designated budget happens to be for the grocery store. It makes it fun for the little ones when you start out. The older ones, they might push back a little bit on this idea. But the young ones,
they want it back enough. They will.
They get into it. They get into it, and they love the idea that you guys are working together as a family. So there's so many things, guys, that we can do, and they're teachable moments. You don't have to say, sit down, let's have this money lesson, right? You can ingrain these things in. See, you have to make it fun for your children, right? Because they go through school all day, and traditional school, if we're just going to be real for a second, is boring. So how do you need, what are those things that you can now do that are going to transition how you are training your child about money? Yes.
Get them creative.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jazzy. She said we need to start this ASAP. I'm telling you, it's fun. And I give my little one a calculator while we in the store, and he keeps track of stuff.
Rosie, yeah, I want to say Rosie does that. And then Courtney has the coupon. So as soon as she get, and they have a process, we're going through BJ's, and Courtney gets something, and they act like I'm not even there. Like, I don't even know why they take me along, because Rosie's pushing a buggy. She has the calculator in an envelope, and Courtney has an envelope. So what Courtney does is, and she has it mapped out. Oh, we have a coupon for this. Rosie marks it off the list, puts it in the calculator, puts the coupon in her envelope. So when we get to the register, Rosie's handing off her envelope to the people. And Courtney said, and she'll tell you, ain't no coupon for that. And then she puts C beside the things that have coupons on it, so she knows to look for it. And these little heifers, let me tell you something. I can't get a piece of candy. I can't get a tater chip. I can't, no, mommy, you know, and I really taught them that early on when I was struggling for real. We go through the grocery store, we can only get what we need. Now, if there's money left over, we can go back and get maybe 2 or 3 things that we want. And Courtney's like, oh, well, we haven't got what we need yet, so what we want round has not started. I was like, who the mama? I just, you know, can't get no ice cream, Lynn. I don't even, they just treat me so bad. But
well,
it worked. I stay on my budget. And Courtney is like, and then she separates out the meat or whatever we buy, so that when I pick up a pack, that's the whole meal for the family. She's like, now this is gonna last us for the whole month, mommy. You know our budget is $350, and we got, and so they absolutely love to boss me around. So your kids will absolutely buy into it if you present it to them. They, you know, they love that. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit for.
Yes, yes. And that goes back to the quote from this morning, guys. Smart people learn from their mistakes, but the sharp ones, they learn from the mistakes of others. So train your child to learn from the mistakes, right? And yes, she is raising them well. She's doing a good job raising her girls, right?
If we could just get these student loans together, then we would be all right.
Yes,
But we're working. All right, guys. So the financial thought of the day, the fearless thought of the day. That was a good financial one, though, and you guys are gonna love that book. So yesterday, Lynn, we had a topic picked out, and I forgot. Yesterday, I talked about be careful for those gentle dream killers, but Charlene has said it's what they
Behind
don't
the
see
scenes.
behind the
Yes.
scenes. So maybe we'll do that tomorrow, because what you don't see is me and Lynn talking last night at night, like I'm tired, me too, but let's do this one more thing.
Right.
But so today today is Hump Day Wednesday. So I want you to refuse to pretend. It is hard work pretending. It is so hard. So I want you to refuse to pretend. You know how you pretend that you got it all together? It's exhausting. How you pretend that your money right when it ain't? It's exhausting. How you pretend that your life is not crazy when it is? It is exhausting. So today
Yeah.
I want you to just refuse to pretend anymore. You are on this journey and you got a new you going on. Be the new you. Stop pretending with people, especially, and I always talk about this, is when how your conversation changes with certain people and how you pretend with those people. You got one friend on, in your conversation is one way with them, and then you hang up and you're pretending with another friend. Girl, yeah, and you want to tell her she's stupid, but you can't, so you pretended that everything is okay. Or you're pretending with your parents because today is Thursday. I thought today was Wednesday. Thank you, Trenda. Good morning, Nathan. Take action Thursday, Nathan. Refuse to pretend at school today, baby.
See, she was pretending that today was Wednesday, and you just caught her, Nathan. You caught her on that.
I sure thought today was Wednesday. That means today is gonna be a great day. So I'm not gonna pretend that it's Wednesday anymore. Today is Thursday, which is even better because it's Take Action Thursday. So guys, stop pretending. Be you. It is okay. Thank you, Nathan. It is okay to be yourself. This was a hard thing, Lynn. I had the hardest time with this because I love to laugh. I'm a jokester and I'm very sarcastic sometimes. Good morning, Sandra. Happy Women's Day to you too. And I realized that I was packaging myself to deal with other people. And it was exhausting. And I realized I don't have to be that way. I can be JoJo wherever I want to be JoJo, period. And that is okay. And once I realized that a lot of my stress was relieved in how I was going to change how I interacted with people, from work to my home life, to my family. Because if you look, your family expects you to act a certain way, right? They expect you to act a certain way at work. Your girlfriends expect you to act a certain way. Your husband expects you to act a certain way. Why can't I be just one way all the time? Now don't get fooled and go to work and act crazy like you at the house. Now, there's some stipulations to that, okay? But the core of who you are should not be compromised. And what I found, this is my confession for today, is I was compromising my core of who I was. And sometimes that came in the action of, if I knew somebody was doing something wrong, but I was their friend and they was just looking for me to co-sign, I would co-sign instead of telling them, hey, that ain't cool, that ain't even right. And then I was pretending to go along. And y'all know what I said last month? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I can't be allowing you, I'm going to be pretending with you. And then right next day, I'm sitting right beside you, having the same ideas and thoughts as you. So it has to be true to your core. And I had to stop pretending with that thing, because I was deviating from who I was to accommodate somebody else. That, my friend, is exhausting.
Right.
It will wear you. You'll be stressed out, because guess what? You're not going to know how you're supposed to act with anybody. And then after a while, you're going to lose yourself. I think I talked about that a couple of months. What do you like to do? Who are you? Because you're learning yourself as you go. What is at your core? What do you stand for? What makes you you? When somebody says, oh, well, this is what I know for sure about Charlene, or this is what I know for sure about Lynn, what are they going to say? Is that message going to be consistent throughout every friend you have? Or is that message going to change with each friend that you have? And my goal is to all my friends to tell the same message. I don't want somebody, heaven forbid, be like, well, JoJo did this and this, and then it totally contradicts what somebody else is saying. So be true to who you are in your core. Refuse to pretend on this Take Action Thursday. What better way to start today than to be you? Be true to you, and who you are. It's not. And here's the thing: you were put here to be you for a reason. So why pretend to be somebody else? That's exhausting. If God wanted you to be Lynn, he would have called you Lynn. If he wanted you to be JoJo, he would have called you that, and he would have made you that. But instead, he called you to be absolutely you. And that's who you have to be. Understand who you are at your core and do not compromise. Yes, stop going with the wind. You can't do it, because then you become what? Unstable. And that is very true. And you'll find that when you apply that to the core of who you are in your finances, in your life, in your relationships, you'll find a thread that is very common. And then you'll find that you will not compromise any of that. And you may have that thread coming up to your up to one part. For me, I had it all the way up to my finances, and then it's like the thread was just broke completely off. But then I had to develop that thread so that I can continue on, so that it's a one continuous core for who I am. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be work. There's no way. And I love this. Somebody told this story, and I'm in with this. They was like, they're always praying and they're always talking about, I'm ready. What's the song? The harvest. I'm reaping the harvest God gave to me. Remember that song?
Yes, yes.
What they don't realize, when you sow a seed, you're working. You have to water the seed, you're working. The hardest part is harvesting the seed, because now you got to go out there and pick it up. And when you're harvesting the seed, you're still working harder. And then you got to sow again. So what part of that said in the harvest and the sowing that you are not working? Because all of it is work. So you can't do one without the other. You can't sow and expect to reap the benefit of a harvest if you're not doing the work. You can't harvest if you're not going to go do the work and pick it up. So we're sowing the seeds here at the Fearless Morning Show, giving you the tips and the tricks and the foundations that you need. And so as that comes to pass, as you start changing, you start see the difference in whatever it is, your finances, or you living past crazy in your life, you still got work to do. Right. It doesn't stop. You still have work to do, because now you're charged to show somebody else and tell somebody else, and then you are the sower and somebody else gets the harvest. So continue that on. I don't know where that story came from today, why I thought about that, but so hopefully it was for somebody this morning. So just know you got to do the work. Refuse to pretend today on this Take Action Thursday. Thank you, Nathan, for correcting me on my days of the week.
Yeah. The thing I want to point out, guys, the key that JoJo shared is be true to you at the core of who you are. That's the key word, at your core. Because we all understand you can't be exactly the same way in corporate America that you can be with your family, that you can be with your girlfriends. It's called code switching. We just can't be ratchet in the process, right?
Right. I can't be slanging it at work like I do I can't chop off my words at work like I do here at the house. Or, like Charlene, y'all with the no L's and I'm stopping at the W. I can't do that at work. Nathan said that's his job, correcting people. Thank you, Nathan.
Stay on your post.
You on it, baby. Stay on that job. You're doing very good.
Yes.
That is very true. So we have to adapt to our environment, but who we are at our core should not be compromised. So Yes, Charlene, know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. That is exactly right. Because I can be Jan Mitra and Louise all day at work. At home, I'm JoJo. And that's just, that's just it. So but my core hasn't changed. Who I am, my character here at home is the same as it is at work. That doesn't change.
Right.
So that's the thing that does not change. I'm not gonna let you compromise it no matter what environment. Because here's the thing:
Right.
when you don't work your tail off to develop your character and to build the new rules to you and to develop who you want to be, you are protective of that thing, and people just can't come to you any kind of way, and they know that because your presence is going to speak before you will. Your atmosphere is going to speak far better than you ever will. So just be mindful of that. That's my soapbox for today. All right, guys, Lynn, anything else you want to tell them before we get out of here today?
No, guys, just don't forget, if you would love to receive free access to my book, Raising Your Financial Genius, don't forget to text finances to 345-345. That's only for those people who view this video and say, I saw you on the video. If you send that to me today, I will definitely make sure you receive the free copy of that book when it's released this month. I also just wanted to let y'all know in advance, there's a workbook that also will be released later that goes along with the book. So be on the lookout for that as well. Thank you guys so much for joining us every morning. And don't forget to share this video. Share the information that you gain, because it's about helping one person every day. If we all help one person, just imagine our reach.
That's right. And share, make sure. And then if the person does not have Facebook, we do have a YouTube channel. I will post that as well. Don't forget, we do have Be Fearless t-shirts and books and things that you can use, that you can order. And I posted that, as well as the Be Fearless necklace and the bracelet sets. They are on there as well. And just make sure you share the video and give the information to somebody else who may need it, and even if they don't need this, I'm sure that there's a show that we have done that you may be interested in sharing, because sometimes, Lynn, people need to hear it from somebody else instead of from you. Sometimes your family can't accept it coming from you, or your friends can't accept it coming from you because of your relationship. And
even though you're saying the exact same thing, they'll hear it from someone else first before they'll hear it from you. So that's why
and have the revelation of a lifetime, and you looking like, did I not just say that? Really? Did I not just say that?
Right.
And it's okay. Don't let it hurt your feelings. Long as they receive the message, it's okay. Because I had to get back, because I used to tell people, I promise you, I just told you that. And they was like, oh, you did? Like, so you wasn't even listening to me in the first place.
Right.
So they can receive it better from somebody else. So make sure you share the show with them, and hopefully it will encourage and bless somebody else. All right, guys, have a great day. We'll see you back here on tomorrow bright and early at 7:15. Have a good one. See you later, Lynn.
Signing off.